Hello everybody, welcome to my Q&A. In this video, we're going to be talking about series. Well, let me just explain series like a little bit. Well, a series is a sum of numbers. And these numbers also have a rule attached to them. Okay, so it's going to be very interesting because now, well, let's say for instance like, well, in the previous videos, we're talking about arithmetic sequences and we're talking about geometric sequences. Well, we did say that like a sequence is like numbers that are following each other, and this, a pattern of which like they follow each other following is actually a rule. So we apply a rule, which like we actually discussed that the rule of arithmetic is arithmetic. It's a linear rule, and for geometric we also apply the rule, which is basically a quadratic rule. We apply the formula, which is the rule. So the rule in this instance is the formula. So now we're talking about series. Series basically is a sum of terms. Well, we'll get to like all those interesting terms of a sum of an arithmetic series and a sum of a geometric series, but now there's a specific mathematical notation that we use to show values. Okay, sorry, to show a sum of values. Now let's introduce the sigma notation. So sigma is this nice math sign that looks like this. And then now we have something which looks like n is equal to m or I. And then here we have a big N. Then from there here we have some function of I. I want you to understand something here. When I'm saying some function of I, I'm just saying it's some function that contains I inside. So what's going to happen here is that if you have to expand this thing further, or let's describe this equation, because it can be a little bit tricky if not as well explained. This I, this N, is actually what keeps track of what's going on here. Okay. And then this N keeps on increasing. It's just the name of some variable, but we never really show it here. It never really appears here. Okay. So, but what appears in this equation is I. So I is a number that starts from some value, and that value is this value. So this value keeps on incrementing. It keeps on incrementing. It keeps on increasing every time by one. Every time it keeps increasing by one, and then up to this value. So, but then it starts from this value. That's something very interesting. How we expand this thing, we say we start from some value number here, whatever value that thing is. Let's just call it A, which will be shown here. N is equal to 1, or N is equal to some number, and then count by 1 up to N. And then as you're incrementing, take the value, put it in there for every increment, and from there sum all those values. That's what it really means. Okay, so now let me just expand this further. Now it means that now this thing, let me write it like this. Let me write it like in a nice way. Let me give you an example. I feel like the best way is to actually use this like in an example form. But let me just write this first. Like I said, I've got fi plus I plus 1 plus a function of I plus 2 plus a function of I plus 3, just like that, all the way until I get to a function of I plus n. That's what this thing means. So I keep on taking this same function, incrementing I inside, and then taking the answers that I'm getting of this thing, but I sum it only up till n times. Okay. So I'm hoping this makes sense. I tried explaining it as best as I can. If you have any questions, please go to the Math Q&A application, and then from there, ask in the Math Q&A section. Okay, just reference the video and say in video so. What did you mean by this? Type inside the text box. Okay. Now I've got this thing fi plus 1, fi plus 2, fi plus 3, and fi up till n. Now let's do a quick example. Let's say now I've got like like a nice example. Let's say now I've got this sigma, and then my n is equal to 1. Here I've got 6. Here I've got 2 exponent n. Let's say someone says, okay, let's expand the sequence and find the value of the series, because this is a series. This is a series. A series is a sum of values that are defined by a rule. That should make sense. It's a series. It's a sum of values that are defined by a rule. Okay. Now it means that how we expand this, I said fi, which is this, is going to be 2. Now my n is going to be 1 this time around. Cos, that's the first value, 1. Now plus, I take the very same thing again, 2. Now in n, I put 2. I said it's incrementing as we go. And from the plus, 2, 3, plus 2, 4, plus 2, 5, plus 2, 6. And we only go up to this point. Okay, then from there, we sum all the values. 2 exponent 1 is 2, plus 2 exponent 2 is 4, plus 2 exponent 3 is 8, plus 2 exponent 4 is 16, plus 2 exponent 5 is 32, plus 2 exponent 6 is 64. So when you sum all these values, you find 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64. And the answer is 126. Okay, so that is what this thing means. It means that take this number, plug it in there, increase it, and sum the functions as this thing is increasing, but only go up to this specific value. Okay, thank you.